jumping right in, I don't know how many of you are more design and how many of you are more tech or tech curious, but this is definitely going to get heavily into tech with a sprinkle of creativity as well. This is me. As I mentioned, I come from seamstresses and pig farmers. It's a picture of me and my family. I'm a proud Puerto Rican New Yorker, venture capitalist, serial entrepreneur, innovation ecosystem builder, and creative disruptor. I'm very proud of embracing the creative disruptor title, which earlier in my career was very much seen as a derogatory term, but now everyone is looking for creative disruptors because we get stuff done. I have 30 years in tech by way of Carnegie Mellon, where I received a design degree with a side of C++. It gave me the gift of creative problem solving through design and systems thinking. I have been obsessively enthusiastic about supply chain since my childhood. It's most likely because my grandmother was a seamstress. We had to sew our own clothes while I was growing up. The fashion industry has historically been extractive and exploitative of its workforce around the world, which many of whom look like me. But for the first time in history, the digitalization of supply chains gives us a unique opportunity to change that by refashioning the entire model to be better for people, planet, and profits. Our world is being refashioned. My early stage venture fund is called Refashion Ventures. I chose this word because to refashion something speaks to finding an entirely new way of achieving the outcome. For the first time in history, physical things can talk to other physical things. This represents the largest operating system to ever exist through the industrial Internet of Things and AI. Industrial data lives within our supply chains, of which 70% are small businesses. Our raw material suppliers, factories, and converters are the value creators. They always have been. Their data is the new oil, and Silicon Valley is coming for it. This is a picture of our global air freight trade lanes, bananas, right? It's the definition of insanity to think that we have any chance of fixing this billion-headed global value chain, one supplier, one technology, one issue at a time, in time for humanity to not go extinct. It is now cheaper and faster for us to build an entirely new localized paradigm from the ground up, rather than try to retrofit this insanity. To change a system, you must truly first understand it. Our current system is designed for the outcome it is achieving: consumers' addiction to fast fashion and increasingly accelerated consumption. Companies like Shein, Temu, Amazon's Haul have algorithmically optimized for maximum consumption over common sense. Rana Plaza, that happened in 2013. Documentaries were made, articles and studies were done, and countless coalitions and nonprofits formed. Little has changed. Global value chains have allowed for wealthy countries to dump our trash in poorer nations. We throw things away and never have to confront the consequences of our choices. The US alone represents $50 billion in unsold merchandise and 35 billion pounds of textile waste going to landfill or incineration every year. Our consequences have started to catch up with us, thanks to the undeniable impact of microplastics on our environment and internal organs of every living thing. They have found microplastics in our brains, in our arteries, in umbilical cords, in the womb. Our systems have been designed to optimize for shareholder returns and profits over humanity. Much like Silicon Valley's mantra of move fast and break things, we have broken quite a lot and have yet to realize the full scope of our current system's long-term impacts. This study had dogs wearing pants, which, yes, is adorable, but also it should be terrifying because the results showed that just wearing polyester can result in reduced sperm counts, hormonal imbalances, and diminished ability to conceive. Just wearing it. We are out of time. UN reports warn that there is no credible pathway to capping our impact in place, and that the only way to limit the worst impacts of the climate crisis is a rapid transformation of societies. We need a paradigm shift. There is hope. Throughout history, society's creatives, artists, musicians, writers, and fashion designers have proven to wield tremendous power. The power to end war. The power to create culture, community, and connection in the face of division, fear, and hate. The power to remind us that we are all one. The digital age has divided us, but creativity can be the force to heal us. When fascists and authoritarians are on the rise, those in power try to strip us of our creative voices. At every moment in history, our creatives have led the rebellion. When the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, even Levi's realized the significance that their jeans played in breaking boundaries. They put it in their advertising. When the world tries to take our voice, fashion has allowed us to speak through our clothes. When I founded and built the New York Fashion Tech Lab in 2014, I had investors laugh at my choice to focus on the refashioning of the fashion industry. I had people tell me there's no tech in fashion, that it was not important, compared to the hype du jour coming out of Silicon Valley. What they didn't know is that I live in the future, and I can see what they can't. I see an industry where 1 in every 6 workers on the planet is employed, and where the value creators have been exploited and extracted, but are now poised to reclaim their power through digitization. I see an industry that shapes culture and community in ways that make those in power uncomfortable, because they realize that every day we dress ourselves, we can make choices for self-expression that they can't control. During times of uncertainty and chaos, there is always opportunity. The opportunity I'm focused on is ensuring that the small businesses that are the foundation of our $100 trillion global value chains are given a seat at the table through collaboration. Current global supply chains are extractive. Their model is to produce, ship, then sell, with the end of use being landfill or incineration. Collaborative demand chains sell, produce, then ship, locally, last mile, and its end of use is the beginning of its second life through circular infrastructure. I bet you're wondering why you're looking at a starfish and a spider. It's because in 2015, I read the book, The Starfish and the Spider, The Unstoppable Power of Leaderless Orgs. And I was inspired by the concept of systems being either starfish or spiders. In simplest terms, spiders are fragile, linear, top-down. If you cut off the head, the spider dies. Starfish, however, are agile, resilient, self-propagating, and duplicative. If you cut off a leg, it just grows a new starfish. There are 3 types of systems. Centralized are fragile spiders. Decentralized are hybrids that are self-propagating and scale rapidly, but can have weak nodes and can be filled with junk. Think Craigslist or Facebook. Distributed collaborative systems are starfish with clones of every node. Our current supply chains are spiders and hybrids with fragile nodes and lack of data authentication, which creates massive compounding disruption when something goes wrong. The future of supply chains must be starfish systems. Companies seeking to reshore to U.S. manufacturing, of which there have been many as of late, all want to look for that one magical factory that can do everything for them like they have in China. Say you get your one magical factory in California, the only certainty is that you're going to face wildfires, mudslides, earthquakes, or any number of other risks that are out of our control, which means production is disrupted. But imagine if you could work with a vertically integrated network of factories with verified capabilities, certifications, quality, and pricing connected under a secure control tower. Your production could be digitally queued to the next closest authorized factory so you experience no downtime without anyone needing to pick up a phone. The future of fashion and humanity relies on us deploying an entirely new paradigm of starfish systems consisting of demand chains and circular infrastructure. Now, demand chains start from constraints. I know constraints are a nasty, terrible word for creatives. Ooh, constraints. For fashion, the core constraints are locally sourced fibers, coupled with regional factories, categories, and capabilities. Our textile waste becomes the new raw material thanks to circular systems. What you see here is the circular process for chemically processed natural fibers. Clothing is reclaimed for recycling, then hauled and sorted, disassembled and resorted, shredded, combed, and cleaned before chemistry breaks down our old clothes into a pulp. They then sort the cellulose from the poly and other blends so we can extrude 100% post-consumer waste cotton or other natural fibers into a filament, which can then be spun into yarn, knit or woven into textiles, and converted into new clothes. These same fibers can go through this process 5 to 10 times before being fed into soil as nutrients. Volume. Volume then shifts to our finished goods to shared raw materials via a distributed collaborative network, vertically integrating existing factories into small batch or post-purchase microfactory production. A microfactory can be as small as 5,000 square feet, but they're not just a smaller footprint. They use a unique combination of hardware, software, a specialized factory floor plan, and operational playbook. Orders come in together from multiple brands, and the pattern pieces can fit together like a puzzle using AI on the same textiles for digital printing and cutting. They are then sewn by a worker and drop shipped to the customer. In this model, every order can be made to measure. The universal consumer desire for clothing that fits is the ultimate customization. This new model is 85% automated, which saves time, materials, and money. And lastly, transparency and traceability. Customers can pre-book and capacity plan against raw materials. Actually, just yesterday, I had a call with one of the largest retailers in the United States that, due to the tariffs, are desperately looking for localized end-to-end value chains. And I said, well, the best thing you can do is work with the 4 million tons of fibers that one of my contacts has sitting in warehouses in the United States. And then we can advise you on who can convert it, who can knit and weave it, cut and sew it, dye and finish it, and you'll have product for store shelves come holiday. They were like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I said, oh, but there's a catch. You first have to work with who we choose. We will assign the value chain, and then you design to their categories, capabilities, and constraints. They finally were like, oh my God, that's amazing. We'll have product. Like, all it took was this massive crisis for you to figure this out, that you can work with your partners, your value chain. In this model, customers can pre-book and capacity plan against raw materials while the SaaS platform orchestrates across the network, tracking and tracing on the blockchain for its item ID, which is used in digital product passport, and circular verification. We know what it is and how many times it has been remade. The platform's AI decision layer optimizes your production based on real-time data while notifying all parties through push notifications. But what about the unit economics? Oh, we can't ever make anywhere other than China. That's a bunch of hooey. In the old paradigm, only about 25% of merch is sold at full retail price. Selling through more product at 100% retail price reclaims lost margins. Simple. Disruption is going to happen with or without you and can rapidly unseat legacy brands, as we've seen time and time again. I'll share with you the secret that every creative disruptor knows. The secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And now for my favorite part, sharing the innovations that are defining the new paradigms. These companies are built by the brave leaders who refuse to accept the impossible, because after all, everything is impossible until it has been done. Natural fiber welding is in our portfolio at Refashioned. Luke Haverhals, the CEO and founder, created natural fiber welding after being inspired by his favorite chemist, who happens to be his mom. He would watch her baking and realized with the same ingredients, all natural ingredients, you could change how you mix and process them, knead and work with them, heat and cool them, and you could have totally different outputs of different types of breads, different properties, different textures and hardness or density. So he applied the concept of chemistry, of baking, using all natural ingredients and yielding such diversity in types of bread, to materials. NFW is pioneering a platform for plastic-free performance materials to remake everything derived from nature, proving that materials are crucial across categories and soft goods is so much more than just fashion. NFW's 100% plant-based Mirum, which is a leather alternative, the only one that's using all natural vegetable-based polymers, is replacing leather in BMW's interiors. Mothership Materials, this is one of our more recent investments. It's two female founders and unlocks the opportunity for the bioeconomy. I personally haven't invested in as many advanced materials companies as I would have liked to, because Mothership Materials didn't exist yet. And so when founders come to me and they've said, I'm building something out of cactus or banana peels, my question for them has consistently been, how do you get your stable, always-on inputs? Oh, there's tons of banana peels. And I say, yes, but there's a massive leap between a pile of banana peel waste and a stable, quality-controlled, always-on input for your materials. So enter Mothership Materials. CEO and co-founder of Mothership Materials, Joe Marini, studied permaculture for a year to understand how she could apply learnings from the most efficient value chain on Earth, Mother Nature, because nature produces zero waste. She then applied first principles and her co-founder, Dr. Agnes Ostafin's proven IP in therapeutics for nanomaterials to the processing of biowaste. Mothership Materials' proprietary hardware uses less energy than a coffee pot and physics without chemistry to separate one input into as many as 5 stable, quality-controlled output raw material ingredients. Their solution turns biowaste into cash, cuts out the need for transport by processing on premises, and can repay the initial capex in as little as a few days or even hours. With this example, I got a call from another huge retailer in the United States saying, we have a orange peel crisis. And I said, what do you say more words? They have 700 locations where they're producing fresh squeezed orange juice, and they couldn't even dispose of the orange peels because it's cost prohibitive to even ship that waste because of the acidity levels in the orange peels. So they were like, help, do you have anyone that can help us with this? I said, absolutely. Mothership Materials can be deployed on premises at each location, process that orange peel into pectin, lignin, cellulose, glucose, all of which have separate buyers at a premium. So this Mothership Materials shipping container, which is a few $100,000, can pay for itself in pectin in just 4.3 hours. Simply Fiber. Maria's here. Simply Fiber is an entirely new way to produce soft goods. They have refashioned the status quo from 6 steps to just 2. Liquid cellulose fiber is processed through their proprietary self-contained end-to-end value chain microfactory machine. It's about the size of this stage. Is that about right? A little bit? Yeah. Liquid fiber goes in one end and a finished shoe upper, top, bag, packaging, etc. pops out the other end in minutes. Kia has partnered with Simply Fiber to create natural, bio-based molded interiors. Top brands like Ganni, Puma, Adidas, and more are proving that sustainable practices can inspire design rather than fight against it. Here's another one of my favorites. Another refashioned portfolio company, this is getting more into the deep tech nerdy side, Arvist, uses a company's existing security cameras for computer vision and AI insights. Their platform can auto-count warehouse shelves or pallets with 100% accuracy, optimize operational flows, and even flag and package up workers' comp reports using generative AI. True to form, another refashioned portfolio company. True to form is the leader in digital body volumetric data capture using any mobile device. Now, there's a ton of body data capture technologies. They're using mostly static flat images or huge scanning machines. True to form made it a point to focus on just using your mobile device, so it was as ubiquitous as possible. Instead of using flat photos, they capture a 360-degree volumetric file that can be ported into Clo or most design tools for made-to-measure or pattern grading. They have also built the first search engine for apparel called Fit Search, where the results are just clothing that will fit you. Sortile, another refashioned company, has created an inexpensive tabletop device that accurately identifies the blend in textiles by just placing the physical sample on their scanner. The use case that I got most excited about for this technology is the ability to verify that what you purchased matches what you received. Bill of materials lie. Physical items cannot. Arcstone, another refashioned company, is a next-gen modular manufacturing execution system. How many of you actually have been into factories, have been on factory floors? Show of hands. Yay! That's so rare in audiences I talk to. You're my people. So this MES connects bottom-up data from machines across the factory floor to digitally optimize and run factories. They also have a control tower that can automate critical triggers across the connected value chain, provide a single source of truth for collaboration, visibility, and transparency, and can yield efficiencies across the network. So picture you're a factory that does cut and sew, and you need to never be out of stock of your most needed raw materials. You can set a trigger that goes all the way back to your fiber partner to start processing the fibers, sending it to your yarn mill, your converter, and have it land at your factory before you're out of stock without ever having to pick up the phone. Manny AI is not in my portfolio, which makes me very sad. They've built an AI engine that ingests tech packs, translates them into the factory steps. They call this breaking it down into recipes. Think of it as every process, every machine, every worker, and every step that needs to happen to produce a garment. And then they use AI to map it against who's working that day, what machines are up or down, and optimizing your production for maximum daily throughput, all on the fly. Factories can leap forward from whiteboards and paper stacks to a real-time AI operating system. They're out of the UK. Unspun, not in my portfolio, but good friends of mine. Unspun has created the first digital weaving machine that can weave made-to-measure full fashion woven items. Digital knitting has existed for a while with Stoll and Shimaseki, but Unspun is the first of its kind in 3D weaving. Their process eliminates a number of steps in the production life cycle, and they can reclaim their items for unweaving at end of life. Unspun's partners include Pangaea, Weekday, Eckhaus Lotte, and Walmart. Big thanks. This is a new company that I was just introduced to. They automate high-quality 3D fashion content at scale, And they've done this by entirely reimagining and rebuilding a new generative AI engine. It's not Blender, it's not any existing engine. It is dreamt up by the team that worked on Avatar, the movie. And they've decided that rendering engines for fashion need to be faster to be able to deal with real-time physics of textiles and drape. So they've built it from the ground up. It delivers real-time fashion objects, virtual merchandising, virtual try-on, and fit visualization with drape and physics. Avatar, this is not the movie. This is another portfolio company of Free Fashions. Avatar Systems is taking an approach to robotics in warehousing and manufacturing that borrows from the experience of self-driving cars. The system initially learns from human operators while relying on human operators less and less as time goes on, and the system becomes more autonomous and competent at performing certain tasks. The labor crunch in warehousing, manufacturing, and materials handling is worsening due to our demographic trends. Avatar's remote teleoperators perform the task in conjunction with on-site robots. Guildform, another refashion portfolio company. Guildform is the first on-demand fine jewelry design and manufacturing platform. It includes generative AI, ideation, technical design, production using 3D printing with hand finishing and dropship fulfillment. They've already been partnered with some of the largest brands before anyone's even heard of them. Guildform has a creator community partnered with Shopify, and brands such as Bill and Lisa Ford actually reached out to Guildform, that's based in Detroit, because they were going to be reopening a big building in downtown Detroit that had these beautiful chandeliers. And they came to Charisma, the CEO and founder, said, "Can you turn our chandeliers into chandelier earrings?" She did so in 3 days. Her other partnerships include companies like Chanel, the Detroit Pistons, Marvel, and many more. Shimmy has gamified reskilling and upskilling. We all know that there's a massive need in this space. This brilliant female founder came from a gaming background, and she applied gaming concepts. She wanted to make a reskilling application that was as sticky and addictive as Candy Crush. And so she went to the hardest possible place she could to start. She's like, why not start in Bangladesh, where women don't read or write and are even afraid to touch a computer because it's worth more than their life in their caste system. So in Bangladesh, she took on the challenge, and through voice and touch screen, she got these women with a 4th grade education to do digital pattern making in as little as 4 hours. We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. So I'll ask you, how are you preparing for this paradigm shift? The world's $100 trillion GDP runs on industrial value chains, and they're all being rapidly refashioned. This creates uncertainty and massive opportunity. We live in the primordial soup of industrial transformation. Brian and I have been building Refashioned to catalyze industrial transformation because our world is being refashioned, so we might as well intentionally design for the outcomes we need and actively orchestrate the outcomes we desire. Please join us in this important work. Thank you.
You too.
Questions?
Yes. Thank you, Lisa, for your inspiring presentation.
Thank you.
So I've learned in order to get a glimpse at what the future will look like, you have to talk to venture capitalists who help to build it, right, in order
Yes.
to predict it.
The ones
Thank you
that
very
know, that live in the primordial soup. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's super exciting, and it's very interesting to see all those technological solutions coming up fast. To
That's-
supply chain that was shortly before only child labor and slave labor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, are there any questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Herr Schönerberg, please.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the speech factory from Adidas?
Yeah. I'm familiar with it. I have not been. I would love to go.
No, because it's finished.
Oh,
Yeah. Because it was roughly the same idea
yeah.
to have big microfactories.
Nike has tried, a lot of big brands have tried. What I've learned from working with the big brands after building the New York Fashion Tech Lab is that as much as brands would like to lead innovation, they ultimately can't because they don't control the value chain. They need to understand that for these technologies to actually scale, they have to collaborate with their value chain partners. Them understanding and having their own lab and microfactory is kind of just playing shop.
Yeah, but your system is so complex. Yeah, because it's more or less the whole world.
Well, no, we start with localized value chains. Again, I think it's impossible to retrofit the billion noded global value chain, but if you start locally, it's a lot simpler.
Adidas stopped it because it was not possible to make it profitable. That's sad.
Things have changed just in the past 5 years. I know that Nike had their own lab and Reebok and Under Armour and all these brands. What is happening now, and we have talks about new versions of microfactories with my colleagues in a little bit. Things have evolved dramatically because of leaps in innovation and technologies and through collaborations, brands finally realizing that they can't ignore the factories as a critical component in their solution. They can't come up with solutions and then hope and pray that they'll be adopted. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. Could you already gain a lot of customers that really go into it with your system and start to work with it and get into the profit?
So, yes. Yeah.
Question was, if you could in the US, I mean, you're working locally, right? So in the USA, could you already gain a lot of customers of interest to really work with your system? Because it's amazing. I think it's what the industry needs, the
Yeah.
textile industry. And I know it's very hard in the USA also to actually get it all together.
Yeah.
And so I hear from you today for the first time, and I'm in this industry and I work a lot in the USA. So
Yeah.
amazing to get to know you. So, but I would like to know, are there really customers coming and work with you to see what actually what you're bringing to the industry?
Yeah, it's really a great question. The smaller brands, yes. When you're working directly with the decision makers, it's a lot easier, especially because small businesses really do need to collaborate with their value chain partners. They're, on top of the unit economics. They understand that you can't just send it to a tier 1 factory and they'll do everything and magically your product comes back. They have to be in the weeds. But since the election, I actually had 4 of the largest brands out of the US and actually the world reach out within 3 days of the election saying, can you help us reshore? And I turned to them and said, I've been trying to help you for like 3-4 years now. And you keep coming back to me with the same tech pack that you send to Myanmar, asking if you can produce it in the same way and the same price in the US market. And my answer is still no. You need to work with the constraints and the opportunities of this region. So if you'd like to do that, I can help you. So the first real sign of hope actually is because of the tariffs, frankly. Everyone thinks that the tariffs, I've gotten so many calls saying, oh, this must be fantastic for US manufacturing. And I'm like, hell no. It's terrible because we are so reliant on overseas vendors for our raw materials or conversion of our fibers. And so it crosses borders a couple of times before you can even bring it back into the US market, even if you're just working with Mexico or Canada for your conversion. And so it's immediately increased costs by about 50%. But like I mentioned, just yesterday, I had a call with one of the largest US retailers, and they are finally open to saying, we need products on the shelves for holiday. What can we do? And I said, if you're willing to work with me, I have 4 million tons of landed fibers in warehouses. We can start with that. And then with our provided conversion partners and cut and sew and dye houses, and then you can design. Here's all the different categories that are possible, but if you're willing to work under this paradigm, you can actually have product on the shelves during holiday. So I think it's going to take, unfortunately, a lot more of these painful events for these bigger brands to realize that they don't control how the market's moving. They need to adopt where it's going.